guys rate my latest and greatest design? 11 out of 10?
One of the most ambitious gaming projects of all time, to completely remake a game so beloved by all, Final Fantasy VII has been 1000% overhauled and redesigned. I wouldn't even call it a remake at this point, more like a reimagining. The real burning question though is, does the game fail against expectations, or does it rise up to meet them? Final Fantasy has been known to experiment with combat, evolving with each iteration of the franchise. Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat is one of the best, if not the most engaging combat in the series. Moving away from the original's turn-based, I was skeptical at first. I didn't want just another mindless hack and slash, but thankfully the game isn't that at all. Borrowing the elements from many of the other Final Fantasy games, 7's combat is in real time, but with the addition of being able to pause mid-fight for direct control over your allies. Each character is special and plays differently, encouraging you to play as everyone, synergizing their abilities and attacks for a truly rewarding experience. Synergizing and utilizing your party is a must, because the combat is no walk in the park, especially with the game's many boss battles that generally require a specific strategy to stagger them. Other than dodging or using your basic attacks, every action such as casting a spell or using an item draws from your ATB gauge, which slowly fills up during combat or faster if you're attacking. Your allies won't use their ATB unless you command them to, further emphasizing a full party strategy. The concept is easy to grasp, and diving into its wonderful depths is fun to master. The weapons are basically your character's class, and you can switch them out whenever. All of them are pretty well balanced, with a lot of customization options. Every time you level up, you gain skill points, which you use to improve your weapon specialization in some way. It's incredibly flexible, and each weapon gains these skill points too, so you don't have to worry about which weapons are getting the most attention. On top of that, each weapon has a special move that if you perform enough times in combat, you unlock that move permanently, regardless of what weapon you're wielding. It definitely incentivizes experimenting with each weapon for a while. Inside each weapon and bracelet your characters have are materia slots. Materia slots make up the bulk of your spells and abilities and can be freely moved around outside of combat. This allows for extreme flexibility in customizing your party. You gain new materia fairly often, unlocking new abilities and strategies to try out. Many materia, especially the spells, have different levels to them. Keeping them equipped during combat unlocks more powerful versions of themselves. I had a basic fire materia equipped early on, and before I knew it, I was casting the highest version of that spell, like a badass. Final Fantasy VII is also full of minigames and side quests, most of them being fun and enjoyable. A few of the side quests didn't seem that interesting and acted simply to expand the game's playtime, but that never detracted from the rest of the game's interesting moments, and the quests often gave really useful rewards. From dancing to darts, the minigames serve as an entertaining break from the tactical combat and more serious moments. Some of them you could even do more than once to get better items.
Hey, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Without revealing spoilers, and yes, trust me, there are spoilers to a game that was released back in 1997, the narrative was actually spectacular. Without making the original Final Fantasy VII feel obsolete, the remake's story adds new threads and new life into every aspect of the game. Every character is fleshed out and given solid personality, even growth. Jessie, a side character from the original, basically steals the show early on in the game with a witty and playful personality that you can't help but smile for. It's this new breath of life that really makes you care. Barrett's charisma and relationship with his daughter is truly heartfelt. Tifa's genuine caring and properly timed jokes make for a great traveling partner. And Aerith's sassiness and innocence will steal your heart. Even Cloud, the merc with a cold shoulder, shows growth. It's something you rarely see in movies, let alone a video game, and yet Final Fantasy VII managed to pull it off wonderfully. The story itself takes the previous 5-hour Midgar segment and really does well at making an entire game out of it. It follows the main beats from the original, but expands upon every section in a thoughtful way. Even with the changes the game does make to the narrative, the story is engaging all the way through to the end, and offers a satisfying conclusion to the Midgar segment. I'm really looking forward to the next game. Hopefully it doesn't take 17 years to make. Final Fantasy VII is jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Despite the many blends of the world, nothing really felt out of place, from the giant skyscrapers in the city to the sewers beneath the shantytown slums. The setting feels lived in, which a lot of games struggle to make that kind of atmosphere work. Streets are bustling with people, folks are running around and having conversations. I even found myself stopping every so often just to take in the view, to look up and see the steel sky above me. Everything they could have possibly done to capture the aesthetic of the original, they did so flawlessly. From new, fully orchestrated versions of the original songs, to interesting remix CDs that you can collect throughout the game, the music takes the original masterpieces and breathes new life into each and every one. The battle music really gets your heart pounding, and many of the character themes can give you all those nostalgic feels you've been missing. I went into Final Fantasy VII excited as hell, but still skeptical. Square Enix tends to convolute their games with hard-to-follow stories and overcomplicated mechanics, but I was pleasantly surprised to find that the story, while still complex at parts, was easy enough to grasp and appreciate. And the combat mechanics are probably the best they've ever been in the series. With a perfect blend of real-time and what players appreciate from turn-based games, the tactics in combat are fast, fierce, and an incredible rush to play through. And while the story felt a bit bloated in its few side quest chapters, it never made me want to stop playing, and so I'm giving Final Fantasy VII Remake a 10 out of 10. I'd recommend this game to almost anyone, even those who have played through the original. It's well worth the $60, and I haven't had this great of a time playing a game for a long time. If you do plan on making the purchase, I do suggest digital so you're not having to put yourself in harm's way by going out during this pandemic. Just stay inside, stay safe, and play a fuck ton of video games. I hope you all really liked the review. If you did, please like and subscribe. It helps. And if you've played the game, let me know what you thought of the game in the comments down below. And once again, I'm Game Ghost, with too many games to play, and finally some time to play them.